Before this chapter begins, I want to mention something right off the bat. I would like to apologize to all of the religious groups in advance for what is contained in this chapter. I understand that religion can be for relief and comfort for a large community, but I also understand that religion can be very toxic even on the internet. If anyone brings hateful, bigoted, toxic slander to any of the religious groups in the comment section, or at least try to push some sort of agenda, I will remove those comments and you will be revoked from making posts permanently. And it doesn't matter if you're trying to prove that you're right or trying to argue that one is better than the other. I will not tolerate it from anyone. This channel values entertainment above all else and would do me and everyone else a favor if such hateful comments were not posted in the first place. With all that being said, enjoy the chapter. That's one hell of a speech. Afterwards, preparations were underway for the coming civil war. And no one thought that he would do it? That is the one thing that people would and still forget about my brother, shattering everyone's expectations and throwing predictions out of the window, as the saying goes. Many did speculate that the Celtic armed forces are nothing more than a joke, and it is so small that even the French army can overrun them. Many did speculate that when the new year comes, the civil war will begin. And many in Europe, including the churches, speculated that the Celtic Revolution would fail within a matter of hours. But then, the opposite. Near the border, on a snowy Christmas night, Northern Irish Army's 18th Battalion are celebrating the holiday. The men at the border have been informed that the attack will not come until the new year. A group of men of the 182nd Rifle Squad toast drinks with each other.
Cheers, mates! Merry Christmas!
They drink their pints of beer.
So, do you think that we'll be able to defeat those Celtics? Those bastards won't do anything but yell at us. We'll send them back to their wives on Valentine's Day, yeah?
They laugh and cheer at the man's words. Lieutenant Benjamin Wheeler looks behind him and stares out at the hill 266 yards in the distance. A figure rises to the very top.
What the hell?
He puts the beer down and grabs a pair of binoculars. Getting a better look, he sees who is on the hill.
Hey, take a look at this!
His friend stares out and spots the figure on the hill.
Who is that?
Holy crap, it's Zanoff. Why is he on a horse?
What is he going to do? Take all of Northern Ireland by himself?
The men laugh at Malone's joke. The other soldiers on the border seize the man, and they too laugh at him. With the moon in the sky behind him, Zanoff can only sigh and lightly shake his head. Another man on the horse comes up to him and stops next to him. The NIA soldiers laughs even more. Such a shame, Mr. President. It is just as I suspected. And to think that we will be facing the greatest of opponents. It brings me to tears. But, nonetheless, a third horseman with his sword in hand stops next to the two. 2 more appear next to Zanoff. 5 more appear. 15 appear. 30 appear. More and more men and women on horses becomes greater, while the laughing and jokes becomes less, replacing it with confusion. Over 150 horsemen and women with a sword in their hand reveals themselves on top of the hill, stretching from one side to the other. Confusion turns into concern. Suddenly, they hear faint booms from a distance. Then comes the whistling. Sergeant Hancock recognizes the sounds.
Incoming!
Explosions flutter all over the border, taking out lookouts, pillboxes, foxholes, and barriers. The soldiers scatter to get to cover as fast as they can, only for some to, unfortunately, get caught by the high explosive shells, turning them into bloody mists. The bombardment comes to a stop. Zanoff grabs Hades and wheels it high above his head. All of the horses on the hill begins to walk. The walk turns into a trot. The trot turns into a canter. And then,
the Celtic Revolution begins! 1st Cavalry Division, below Bagan, charge!
The Irish Celtic Crusaders makes a battle cry, followed by the horses galloping down the hill. They plow through the smoke, slashing and shooting anything and anyone that is still alive. Following behind them, Mark IV LAVs speed down the road past the border patrol gates. Along the entire border, it is being blitzed by 17 Celtic army groups. Total surprise is complete. The Second Irish Civil War begins. We didn't know it at the time, but the Celtic army had been upgrading with armor that they made or were purchased from Germany. Manfred von Bismarck, the German chancellor, confirmed it himself. And the results? Devastating. On all fronts, the 17 Celtic army groups thrust past the border deeper into Northern Ireland. The NIA responds quickly, but right away, there are major issues. Many of the army units are not expecting an attack this soon, meaning many soldiers are unprepared for it. But some units are. In the southwestern front, the NIA's 57 Infantry Division has been holding back the attack all morning. But there was one flaw. Their flanks are unprotected and exposed. At 2:15 p.m., Leopard 2A4s and 2A5s of the Celtic's 38th and 27th Tank Battalions, with support of the 24th Artillery Platoon's 205mm howitzers and old Soviet BM-13Ms, Katyushas, and AF-89 Falcon attack fighters of the Celtic Air Force's 50th Attack Squadron, attacked and closed the salient, trapping the division with no escape. But they did not go down easily. The NIA's 14th Armored Brigade, led by the British Challenger 2s, engaged the Celtic's 38th in the Battle of Tempo. In this large tank battle, both sides are evenly matched, but the Celtic Irish's superior coordination and tactics led them to victory, with minimal casualties and tank losses. To the northeast, the city of Derry falls as the invasion begins. Saboteurs had disabled and unarmed the NIA's 48th Infantry Regiment, and as a result, it was a bloodless takeover of the city. To the west, the 21st Armored Cavalry Division and 87th Tank Brigade encircled the town of Castledurg. The resistance was light, and it was taken within 30 minutes. In the air, the British Harriers of the Royal Air Force faces a formidable enemy, the F-27 Eagle fighters, in constant air-to-air battles and dogfights. With each hour that passes, the Harriers lose air superiority. Out at sea, within and outside of the British Isles, the Royal Navy is not faring much better. ICS destroyers Basban, Brooks, and Adrian encountered and ambushed HMS Ajax, Achilles, and Penny in the Battle of the English Channel. On the morning of December 26, Harriers from HMS Ark Royal fought against A-48 Shearwater fighters of the Irish carrier Limerick in the Battle of the Irish Sea. The Ark Royal suffered major damage, and she was lost at sea. There are rumors of British destroyers being destroyed by unknown vessels. Everyone claims that it was at the hands of Irish battleships, but that possibility was dismissed. I mean, it could have been. Also, talk about quick work. Have you ever heard of the term Blitzkrieg? I feel like I should, but I don't. It's a form of warfare that combines arms and uses them for fast, strategic operations and catching the enemy by surprise. But it does have the flaw of outpacing the infantry. Oh, so like a sneak attack? Yes, without the quietness of it. All of Europe was surprised by the outbreak of the Second Civil War. But there was one incident that it and the world would never forget. I'm sure Montgomery told you about it. A message comes to the troops on the field outside of the city of Armagh. It is a message from Jonathan Zenoff himself. It reads, "To the soldiers protecting the city of Armagh, I do not hold the citizens accountable for your actions. Intelligence has informed me that there are still civilians trying to escape. We will allow them to leave in a quick manner. I have also told the civilians of Northern Ireland to head out of the region. Most have heeded my warning and are leaving with my or your naval escort. Those who joined the Celtic Republic are being treated very nicely. I can assure you that mistreatment will not be allowed or tolerated. However, there are some that stated that they would not change and chose to stay and fight. My division will be holding its advance for 2 hours. During such duration, the civilians will have enough time to leave. However, this gesture of kindness is limited, and if some choose to stay and fight, then they will know what the term Celtic discipline means." He actually did that? Even as the person that he became, he still has a little humanity within him, and he does have limits on who he can kill, those who are under 18, for example. Wait, I heard him say that he wasn't aiming for Sarai's head. Now, Sir Kamajo, what I am about to tell you is something that really happened. Are you sure that you want to hear it? Very well. You have been warned. With the city fully evacuated, at 8 o'clock p.m., 205mm howitzers and Katyusha rockets launched from BM-13Ms are fired directly into Armagh. Those who remain scatter in multiple directions, often getting caught in the projectile's path and obliterated almost instantly. At 8:10 p.m., the bombardment stops. 1 minute later, the 1st Cavalry Division enters the city and immediately encounters troops of the NIA's 12th Infantry Platoon. In a matter of time, the Celtic Crusaders have little issue in repelling them. However, they come across Catholic nuns, either as nurses or attacking sorcerers, protecting St. Patrick's Cathedral. After 10 minutes, Zenoff calls out the attack on the cathedral. The city of Armagh is taken by 9 o'clock p.m., but the cathedral remains an issue. Colonel McTavish approaches the Irish president. Sir, there are still nuns inside of the church. I am very aware. It will be suicidal to send in the troops or crusaders. We must flush them out. What do you suggest? Call General O'Connor and tell him that the vultures are needed. Regular load or heavy load, sir? Heavy. At 9:30 p.m., two massive aircraft called the B-99 Mesofortress bombers, the Vultures, flies at an altitude of 700 meters in the air. As they approach the city, their bomb bay doors opens, revealing the payload from within. 5 tall boy bombs, each with an explosive yield of over 3.6 tons. The site of the cathedral comes into the bombardier view, and then they push a button, releasing the bombs from the planes. The bombers bangs away once all of them have dropped their payloads. 10 to 20 seconds later, the bombs crashes through the walls and the roof, crashing into the ground, and then they explode one after the other. Explosions rises into the sky. The cathedral's walls and roof collapses, and debris flies into the air. Some of the nuns manage to survive and runs out of the church, only to be met by Celtic snipers. Zenov looks down from the carnage and shakes his head. The city is fully captured, with much of the 12th Infantry Platoon taken prisoner and 200 remaining battle nuns captured and taken prisoner by the Irish military police, crusaders, and Celtic druids. Zenov meets with all of them and gave them the option to join or remain. Most decided to change sides, but the others remained defiant. But those defiant individuals will witness a great terror that will continue until midnight. Tens to hundreds of NIA POWs are rounded up and executed on the spot, either stabbed through the heart or shot in the back of the head. 5 are tied up by their wrists and ankles, and their bodies are pulled by horsemen or tanks. 8 are shot by the Leopard 2's 120mm cannon. 25 are buried alive by debris and often crushed to death. Zenov and his crusaders finishes off the rest by setting them ablaze, bayoneting, or beheading them. The nuns are not spared in this slaughter. All of the nuns are stripped of their magic abilities to ensure that none will attack any of the men. 100 are lined up by the destroyed cathedral and gunned down by slug shells from shotguns and German MG3 machine guns, and the remaining 100 are lynched to their deaths. What the hell? I warned you. It was very horrendous for what they did. And Madame Montgomery made her feelings known about the Armagh massacre. What did she say to you? In my childhood, I've known this man for his sharp mind, quick decision-making, and kindness. Nowadays, all I see is a man who has abandoned pride and patience, all for the sake of revenge. In my eyes, he is no longer the man I used to know, because everywhere he goes, death will always follow. And that is the biggest tragedy. He has become the reincarnation of the Black Death. Would have said it better myself. Also, that's how he got the name Black Death. Did she tell you? Only parts of it. Then it was probably a good thing. So, how did you get involved? It was not because of my own volition. I was dragged into it. Ironically, in the same way that drove Zenov on its current path.
Jonathan!
A familiar voice gets Zenov's attention. He turns and sees Sister Angela Harding approaching him. His crusaders wields their swords.
Lower your swords. I will handle this.
Harding, you know this is not the place for you to be.
You have a lot to explain, Black Death!
She stomps in front of him and stares him down with such fury. Well, that is kind of rude to call me after a disease that killed millions. After what you've done, the title fits. Do you think that you're doing this war for the justice of your people?
Zenov's eyebrow twitches.
You clearly do not know who you are talking to. And my brother would have told you not to confront me. I wasn't just going to sit back and watch while you slaughter innocent nuns.
Innocent? Has the English church clouded your mind that much?
No, my mind is clear on what you really are. Is that so? Yes, a backstabbing homicidal maniac who deserves to be condemned. Zenov's eye twitches even more. His face relaxes, then he calms down. Such a shame. Knowing my own brother, he would know better than to get involved. He made his mind known to me before hostilities began. You, on the other hand, refuses to see his view. Those who choose to fight against me and mine will face nothing but death on first contact. You are no exception. Angela's anger lessens. You wouldn't dare. No, I would not. However, I smell something within your blood. Something that is not supposed to be in there in the first place. Something that was transferred into you without you knowing about it. What are you talking about? He has not told you? Tell me what? You're not making any sense. Well, let me make this easy. You either join me or suffer. I'd rather die of a disease than join you. Poor choice of words, Harding. But do not say that I did not warn you. He inhales, then exhales. Tuthoi, Diefi, Wiolu, Shamstras, Wangavin, Zianano. A sudden feeling hits Angela in her chest. She becomes very weak. She removes her hood from her head and holds her chest. Thostario, Difa Prion, Biasuof, Awayakin. She bends forward, holding her stomach. She backs away from him slightly and vomits on the concrete road. The Celtic Crusaders and soldiers of the 1st Cavalry Division watches on with joy on their faces. Masia, Mezuratak, Huilsu, Ueluga, Brizia. Angela Harding screams in horrific agony, then collapses to her side. She struggles to breathe as Zenov looks down at her. Usually I hate making my opponents suffer and kill them on the spot. But this will be the exception. This is his little reminder. Zenov! Zenov looks up from Angela to where the voice is coming from. He spots his soldiers fling up into the air before crashing back down. The Crusader screams as they are launched into the air. A path clears and McIntyre walks through. The soldiers aims their M16s at him. He hits the concrete with his broadsword Gaia, and 2 barriers pops out to his left and right, deflecting the firing bullets. Hold your fire! This is a family matter. All of the soldiers stops firing, and the barriers collapse. Back away now! Zenov, with no change in expression, backs away 15 steps. Still holding Gaia, Francis runs up to his fallen fiancée lying on the ground. Angela! Angela! What happened? I don't know. McIntyre looks back at his brother with furious rage. You backstabbing bastard! She made her choice, and this is the result of it. She wanted nothing to do with this war. Unlikely, considering she was sent to this area by the English church. What? You lie. They would never do something so disgraceful. Brother, look around you. Why do you think the Civil War began in the first place? Why do you think I am doing this? I understand that there are good people, and they deserve to live. Angela is one of them. But her and the others' obedience to their priests and the Pope telling them to die in the Lord's name is evident. It is a waste of life that I hate taking away. And you know this better than most people. McIntyre's anger grows as he stands to his feet, gripping his broadsword. Yes, I do. But let me ask you this. Do you really think that taking the lives of the innocent away is a justification to satisfy a grand promise of the Celtic people? This will not bring Amanda back from the dead! Do you think I do not know that? And... He stops mid-sentence as a realization dawns on him. Wait a moment. Do not tell me. You have forgotten, haven't you? Forgotten what? Zanov's eyebrow lifts, confirming his suspicion. So it is true. You have forgotten where we came from. What we are. I never forget who I am, nor where I came from. When we decided to live here, we realized in 1994 that this world is full of corruption, from here in Ireland to Academy City. And this same world has changed you. My own flesh and blood. How disappointing. McIntyre is taken aback at what his brother just told him. Wrong. I never forgot who I am, nor where I came from. It is not because the world had changed me, but because I had to adapt. Well, is no longer looking like a priest one of those adaptations? Yes, because I have been elected as British Prime Minister. So have I for the Celtic Republic. But that does not change the fact that you made the inadvertent decision to try to conquer me and mine. I will burn your kingdom down if that is the case. Are you looking to start an Anglo-Irish war? No. I know that the UK is part of NATO. But if you choose to attack, Hades flies into its master's hand. I will be forced to mobilize all of my forces, even if your government was somehow influenced by that witch of a priestess. I'd watch my mouth if I were you. Style Magnus walks up beside McIntyre, picking up Sister Angela. Then again, who would ever want to be you? You must be Style Magnus. A pleasure. Unfortunately, I cannot deal with you at this very moment, but it does not mean that I am letting my guard down. Save your breath, Black Death. I'm here for the sister. Of course. But before we depart, I need to say something first. Brother, you claim that you never forgot about your origin or what you are. The blade of Hades glows red and Gaia glows bright green. Then show me! He lunges forward, swinging Hades. McIntyre digs Gaia into the concrete as Style jumps out of the way. Francis lifts Gaia, dragging concrete up and flings it at him. Xenoff slices it and swings again. His brother jumps to the left, dodging the blade, but gets kicked in the face, sending him back. He collapses to his knees and quickly gets back up and blocks Hades with Gaia. The weapons clashing against one another creates a shockwave, hitting everyone and everything around them.
Style, go! I will hold him off!
With Angela still on his arms, Magnus runs from the brothers as they continue to brawl. He runs into an alley and pops out on the other side. Immediately, he is met by Crusaders swinging magical swords and battle axes at him. He puts Angela on his shoulder and snaps his fingers. A stream of fire shoots out, hitting the horsemen. Back at the brothers, McIntyre swings the concrete-covered Gaia at Xenoff, but he misses and gets punched in the face. He shakes his head and swings again. Xenoff weaves and uppercuts him, launching Francis up. He jumps up and roundhouse kicks him in the face. McIntyre goes flying into a building and crashes on the other side, in front of Magnus.
I found the McIntyre! I am fine!
He looks ahead, jumps to his feet, and blocks Hades once more. The two brothers look at each other with furious rage.
Idiot! You are doing this as if you want to die!
He looks away from his brother and spots Style swinging his flaming sword at him. He jumps out of the way and lands 2 yards away. McIntyre digs Gaia into the road. The road bursts upwards, forming a small dome. Xenoff dashes and swings Hades, slicing the dome from top to bottom. The dome shatters, revealing nothing inside.
Sir, are you okay?
Xenoff puts Hades on his buckle on his left side. He turns and walks away, in one piece. Come, we must proceed on to Gregabon. Once that is taken, the gates of Belfast will be upon us.
Blood on my name!
You managed to escape, narrow as it was. I was surprised that Xenoff has more experience in hand-to-hand combat than before. I can tell. So, what happened after that? The Irish Blitzkrieg continued. The soldiers and sorcerers fought valiantly, but it was no use. Then came the realization that he is planning to bring back Bagan. But as the Celtic army are at the gates of Belfast, Xenoff did the unthinkable, exposing the magic side inside of the headquarters of the European Union. A great roar of anger and fury rains down on Jonathan Xenoff as he steps inside of the massive chamber. The Irish members of the EU do no such thing, and they cheer for him. He walks up onto the podium. All eyes are on him. The president of the European Union, Werner von Beck, hits his gavel.
All right, that's enough!
The chamber falls silent at the president's order. Mr. Xenoff, I hope you understand that the entirety of Europe is calling for your dismissal. This better be a message that you will stop this madness in your home country. Unfortunately, Mr. President, that is not why I came here in the first place. The members of different countries rains boos upon him once again. And once again, the president calls for order. Xenoff raises his hand up and snaps his fingers. Instantly, all within the chamber falls into immediate silence. He rests his arm down and looks upon all of them. I am not here just to announce Ireland's exit from the European Union. No. I am here to bring your attention to a grave matter that is happening. Now, I must ask all of you in this chamber to look at the person next to you. It doesn't matter who, just look. Right now. All of the members, bizarrely, does what the man tells them to do. Now, you may be wondering, why would the Irish president tell us to do that? Well, it is simple. It is because he or she may be deceiving you. That person may not be what he or she says to you. And you may laugh, but it is true. And here is the reasoning behind it all. All throughout Europe and throughout all of its history, The churches have been places for people to pray and worship a certain god or worship the same god but in a different way. It is very apparent in the United Kingdom, Scandinavia, Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, Poland, the Baltic states, the Balkans, Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. The church, whether it is the Protestant, Catholic, or Orthodoxy, can be a loving and peaceful place filled with amazing priests, priestesses, nuns, noblemen, and women. However, it can also be a place filled with liars, deceivers, gremlins, witches, and even ghouls, often hiding within the human skin. Everyone in Europe are led to believe that the churches will cleanse you of your sins, when in reality, just like medieval Europe, those people are filled with sin themselves, and corruption has risen exponentially over the past 2 months after the World War, or as I call it, a world skirmish. But that's besides the point. All of you have been noticing, including those watching and listening, that the populations with each country has decreased. Hundreds of thousands of souls taken away in a blink of an eye. But there is a reason behind their disappearances. The Catholics, the Protestants, and the Orthodoxy had commenced a purge. The chamber erupts into gasps, and the reaction is the same around the world as it watches this man on TV and listen in on the radio. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. A purge. My own wife was among those who, unfortunately, became a victim. And you may have had loved ones who were caught in the crossfire of the purges themselves. Let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the European Union and those watching and listening around the world, do you want your loved ones to suffer at the hands of those liars? Do you want the gremlins of the Roman Catholic Church, the demons of the Orthodox Church, and the witches of the Protestant Church deceive you into a sense of false hope? All of the members whispers and speaks to one another, thinking about what he said. But he is not finished. And yet, it seems to me that the churches are not the only one deceiving all of you, for they have an accomplice. That accomplice is the sovereign city-state in the Far East, Academy City. The immediate reaction of mixed feelings fills the chamber. And I know all of you are thinking, what have they done? They have done nothing wrong. Let me say this. Reality can differ from the expectation and perception. There exists the dark side of Academy City that secretly runs all kinds of things that are not supposed to be known to the public, too many of which I can barely mention. But I can mention this. The mass production of child soldiers and crimes against its own people. Disgust and shock are the reactions of everyone. Now, normally, I hate to incite a revolution or rebellion because it is up to the people of the world to decide on such. But I will have to admit it. I believe it is time for all of us to be awakened. It is time to hunt down the liars, the deceivers, the gremlins, and the witches. It is time, dare I say it, for a purge of our own. If all of those who wish to never witness such disgusting atrocities ever again will join me and the people of the Celtic Republic in a great crusade. Half of the members erupts into cheers and praises the Irish president, but the other half disagree with him vigorously. The EU president hits his gavel, bringing the chamber into silence. Now, Mr. Zenoff, do you have any proof of these supposed things about the churches? Indeed I do. In fact, my spies have collected all of the evidence which is on the screen behind me. The screen behind him changes from the logo of the European Union to photographs and videos of Catholic battle nuns, bishops of the English Church, and the Orthodox clergy murdering, pillaging, torturing, and corrupting civilians of religious faith or otherwise. More importantly, they show all of the nuns casting spells on the innocent as well. A great uproar erupts in the chamber, and then throughout the world. Holy shit, I didn't know he made those comments about Academy City. And so, this great crusade began in earnest. All over the world, it is chaotic. North and South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Oceania, and it will have no end in sight. Now that you know, Sir Comajo, are you still willing to put your life on the line to save Madame Montgomery? Or are you having second thoughts? Francis, after everything that you told me, my mind has not changed. I'm getting your necks back, and I'm punching your brother's face into the ground.
Get in line.
Then very well. Let us head to the Vatican. Time is wasting.